Well, thanks for joining us this morning, folks. My name is Ryan. I'm the founder and CEO here at Refuel Creative. I have the pleasure of being your HUG organizer for another year, supported by Alice from our team, who's on the call as well. So Refuel are Adelaide HubSpot partner, and we've run the Adelaide HUG now since 2020. And when we were looking at ways that we could kind of update and refresh the HUG for the new year and add a bit more value, one of the things that we really wanted to do over the last few years is get some more users involved in the user group. Because the point of the user group is not for us as the partner to tell you everything that's going on. We want to make sure that it's a dialogue, and we want to make sure that we've got users sharing what they've done, whether that is good or bad or ugly. And it just so happened that Ben sent through a session outline for our conference, Digital Adelaide, where he talked about Subnet's experience with Loop Marketing. And I thought, you know what, that is a perfect fit for a user journey. I'd already seen a bit about what Subnet were doing with Loop Marketing. So I want to thank Ben for all of the time he's put into preparing this today. You know, we all know that putting together a presentation is not the hour of presentation. It's the 800 hours to prepare the presentation. And Ben has ripped into this with severe enthusiasm. If you're not aware of Loop Marketing was announced by HubSpot at Inbound last year. So if you've not heard of Inbound, that is HubSpot's big user-focused conference. They ran it in San Francisco last year for the first time. Loop Marketing is really an evolution on the playbook that HubSpot have been running for the last few years. So they had the funnel, and then they sort of pivoted the funnel, realizing that the point of the funnel is not for everybody to drop down. The point of the funnel is to then delight those customers and keep them feeding the top of the funnel. So they went from the funnel to the circle. And now in this AI age and all the AI tools that particularly HubSpot have been building into their stack, they wanted to look at this from a test and iterate type perspective, which most of us have been doing, but implementing AI allows us to test and iterate so much faster than we have in the past. So Ben's going to talk a lot about Loop Marketing. Ben's going to talk a lot about how Subnet are using Loop Marketing. So to introduce Ben, Ben is the marketing specialist at Subnet, who is an Adelaide-based IT provider. And he's been working in the marketing field for nearly 15 years. So he's nearly old. But he's primarily worked in the IT and software sector. He's a certified practicing marketer, a fellow of the Australian Marketing Institute, and previously served on the State Advisory Committee and the chair of AMI's Emerging Marketers Committee in South Australia. Ben's got an MBA from UniSA, or as we like to call them now, Adelaide University, and is a graduate of the AICD. He completed his Bachelor of Commerce degree, majoring in Marketing, Management and International Business from the University of Adelaide, which is also now known as Adelaide University, before graduating in honours in marketing. Ben is also a certified practicing marketer with the Institute of Managers and Leaders. So you like a good certification, Ben?
I always do, Ryan. Just seem to collect them like Pokemon, as one of my friends said.
Have you got a lot of HubSpot certifications then?
I've actually started, actually. As soon as I joined Subnet, I went straight into the academy and managed to get a few under my belt. Awesome.
All right, I really want to thank you for your time this morning, Ben. I'll hand over to you. The last bit of housekeeping from me. If you've got any questions for Ben through the session today, put them into the live chat in the discussion. and I will stop Ben and go over questions as they come up, so we can try and make this as dynamic as possible. Over to you, Ben.
Cool. Thank you so much, Ryan. And thank you everyone for joining today. I'm really excited to be presenting at the HubSpot user group in Adelaide, even more so because of the fact that I only became a HubSpot user when I joined Subnet. But to say the least, with the introduction of Loop Marketing, it has been an extraordinary time to become a HubSpot user. And I'll go into a little bit more about the significance of Loop Marketing overall in a minute. But let me start by talking a little bit about me, but more importantly, what am I using HubSpot for right now? And you can see there that my core mission at the moment as the marketing specialist at Subnet is to make sure that more South Australian organisations know the value that we can bring as an IT services provider in a fast changing world. That's really the core of what we're doing right now with Loop Marketing. And in this presentation today, I really want to approach this in the same way that Subnet would approach one of our clients as well. I want to present this to you as transparently and as honestly as possible and try to provide you some practical tips that you can implement in your own organizations as well. And in the spirit of that transparency, I really wanted just to set the stage right now in terms of Subnet's own HubSpot ecosystem. And I have to say, I've been very fortunate in the sense of coming on board Subnet at a time when they'd been using HubSpot for many years before I joined the organization, and thankfully have been able to engage at some pretty premium tier levels in terms of our HubSpot setup. And I should note as well that our team do take a very liberal approach when it comes to new beta programs and modules that HubSpot are introducing as well. Now, I completely respect the fact that you and your organization may not have the same setup as we do with your HubSpot account, but I'm hoping that some of the information I share with you today could still be relevant and still be applicable in your HubSpot instance. But let's talk about why. Why did Subnet make the switch to Loop Marketing? And there are three reasons why we made that decision, or three perspectives, as I like to call them. The first one being the HubSpot perspective. And I think Ryan has really touched on this one as well when he talked about the introduction of Loop Marketing at Inbound 2025 last year. For me personally, that was a really profound moment in terms of seeing HubSpot openly acknowledge that the inbound marketing methodology that they had pioneered since their inception was no longer working for HubSpot. HubSpot themselves as an organization were also seeing a decline in their organic traffic as people made the switch to AI overviews and using ChatGPT and other AI engines to find the information that they were looking for. For me, that was a really stunning realization about how much the marketing world had changed since HubSpot started all those years ago. And the second perspective I wanted to share is what I call the AI perspective, because as an IT company, Subnet are doing our very best to stay at the forefront of the emerging AI technologies that are entering the market right now. We are advising our clients every day about how to adopt AI technologies. And we as an organization are also doing our best to make sure we leverage the latest tools available to be better at what we do in our service delivery. For me, it made perfect sense that Subnet's marketing program also adopt a new marketing methodology that was primarily AI-driven as well. And the third perspective, again, relates closely to us as an organization. And I say this transparently because there's been a lot of merger and acquisition activity in the South Australian IT provider space over the last 12 months. Subnet are now facing an environment where a lot of interstate-based IT companies have come in and bought some of the other South Australian owned operators here in Adelaide as well. That increase in competition, in my mind, means that our marketing program needs to stay at the forefront of execution to make sure that we are more readily able to adapt to this more competitive environment that we operate in. And that is one of the key reasons why I thought Loop Marketing was going to be critical for our success as an organization. So before I talk a little bit more about how Subnet actually implemented Loop Marketing, it's worth revisiting the framework here of Loop Marketing. And I know Ryan talked about that distinction between how the funnel has now evolved into a cycle. And I remember when I first saw the Loop marketing framework, I was thinking to myself, well, surely there's other marketing specialists out there and marketing teams out there who are expressing their brand voice and tailoring their message to different market segments and so on and so forth. But I think the really critical thing here with Loop marketing is that, yes, these stages that you can see here are really reflective of some of the key fundamental activities in marketing. But the question is, how quickly can you implement these stages? How quickly can you leverage the AI tools available to you to actually perform and operate your marketing programs at the most effective level possible? That is really the key to the success with Loop marketing. And in that sense, I wanted to start off by talking about some of the practical things that Subnet did to implement Loop marketing. And one of the fundamentals was ultimately scheduling in time every week for Loop marketing. And what you can see here from the screenshots is that in our teams, we set aside time every Friday, 1 hour each morning, every Friday, to do Loop marketing. And what the focus was is on doing one stage of Loop marketing every week for a full period of 4 weeks. So we'll do the stage 1 express stage in week 1, tailor in week 2, then amplify and evolve in those 2 weeks thereafter. So the idea was that when we reached the end of a single month, Subnet would have completed one entire cycle of Loop marketing, and that process would then repeat itself the following month thereafter as well. I completely understand that we as marketers, we get caught up in our day-to-day priorities and everything else that comes across our desk. But I would say that actually making time to do Loop marketing, I think, is really critical in terms of getting it off the ground in your organizations. So let's go into a little bit more specifics here. How did Subnet actually run those weekly Loop marketing sessions? And at this point, I really want to highlight the Loop marketing webpage that HubSpot have developed. So if you have not already done so, please visit this website and please sign up for the Loop marketing resources that HubSpot have developed. Because in doing so, what you'll get access to is HubSpot's Loop marketing prompt library. And I mean what I say here. This prompt library is everything when it comes to Loop marketing. What HubSpot have introduced here is a series of prompts that you can enter into ChatGPT or your preferred AI engine to help you implement Loop marketing in your organization. And there are different prompts for all 4 stages of Loop marketing. And I've done my very best here just to give you a glimpse in a single slide about how extensive this prompt library is. In total, there are about 100 prompts in the prompt library that HubSpot has developed right now. And you can see here how every single stage has different prompts that help you further in terms of expressing your brand voice, tailoring your marketing message, et cetera, et cetera. So please have a look at it after this call, because I think you'll be absolutely amazed at what HubSpot have developed here. And for each of these prompts, I really should emphasize just how much detail there is in all of the prompts that HubSpot have available here. You may recall when you probably first started using ChatGPT, how maybe your prompts maybe were like a sentence or 2 long. These prompts are pages long. This example here for email marketing campaigns, it runs up at 11 pages long. That gives you an idea of just how extensive the detail is for these Loop marketing prompts in terms of inputting the data that is required and also the actual output that HubSpot are expecting ChatGPT to provide for you when you run Loop marketing. And in that sense, I do want to provide some practical tips here as well, because it's so important to make a copy of the prompt that you want to start with in Loop marketing and paste it in a Word document. Because as you'll see here, for each of the HubSpot Loop marketing prompts, you have the opportunity to input your organization's own data. And this is really critical, because ultimately you don't want to run a ChatGPT prompt that spits out data which may not be relevant to you as your organization. You can see here in these square brackets that you have the opportunity to input your own marketing data and information about the markets that you operate in to make sure that the actual output from the AI engine is tailored for you and for your organization. Just to provide an example here, you can see here how Subnet have inputted our own email campaign data into this email marketing prompt as well. Again, this has been really helpful in terms of us being able to use ChatGPT to give us the information that's relevant to us in terms of where we are as an organization and where our marketing program is, and therefore where we can take it further. And just another practical tip as well, because obviously the more Loop marketing sessions you have, the more prompts you are running as well. So I can't recommend enough. Please make sure you actually keep all your prompts well organized, because chances are you will be going back to refer to them in the weeks and months ahead as well. So by all means, make sure you have a folder set aside for all the Loop marketing prompts that you run. So you can include a copy of the original prompt from HubSpot. You can include a copy of the prompt with your organization's data included as well. And then finally, you can include the actual output from ChatGPT in the same folder as well. And of course, this is where the magic really happens with generative AI. Taking a prompt that has been well developed by HubSpot with your own data inputted as well, and then ultimately creating that output as well, which gives you information that you can use for your organization's marketing program. So just to summarize exactly how these hourly sessions were run at Subnet each week, what we would do is we would start the session by choosing one prompt that we would run. And we usually chose that prompt based on what data we had available that we know we could easily input into that prompt as well. We then input that data into the prompt and then run it into ChatGPT as well. And the third step is really critical, because at the end of each session, we always looked at the output and said, okay, based on what we have seen here, what ChatGPT has shown us, what are some of the key tasks that we can implement in the following week to actually make sure we're taking that information and we're actually implementing it and actioning the recommendations that have been made. So now that you have an understanding of how Subnet ran these Loop marketing sessions, I want to go into some specifics about the actual outputs that were generated from Subnet's Loop marketing program. And to do so, I want to provide you with 4 output examples across 4 different stages of Loop marketing and 4 different prompts that we used in that process as well. Let me start with the first stage, the express stage. And one of the first prompts that we actually ran with Loop marketing was identifying our ideal customer profile. Now, you may have already have an idea in your organization about what your ideal customer profile is, but I think this prompt has been very helpful for Subnet in terms of revisiting and also re-articulating our ideal customer profile. And one of the key things that we were able to do with this output is to go into the brand identity module in HubSpot. And again, I should note here, this is a beta module. If you don't have access to it, that's okay. But one of the things that you'll be able to see is that you can actually input your own identity and your own ideal customer profile into this settings as well. And from that point onwards, you'll be able to access one of the new beta features that Subnet have, also HubSpot have as well, in the sense of being able to apply your own brand identity into any written content you have. You can see on the screenshot there how I've been able to apply the brand identity into a blog post that we ran as well. And this is a great feature. This really ensures that your brand voice is consistently applied across your blogs, your emails, your websites as well. And with that ideal customer profile in mind, that brand voice becomes more articulate and much clearer and able to resonate more effectively with your target audiences as well. I want to move on to stage 2 there as well, talking about the actual tailoring stage of Loop marketing. And one of the key prompts that we ran here was identifying a way to more effectively segment our communication strategy across different markets. I think there was a quote here from ChatGPT, which I actually did want to cite as well. It says here, the key thing is same truth, different translation. And I think that really sums up the key recommendation that we got from running this prompt as part of our Loop marketing session. What we realized was that Subnet have been doing a really good job in terms of marketing our key messages to a very technical audience. And when we're looking back over our 2025 marketing program, we realized that we had a very loyal following of IT managers and system engineers and so on and so forth who would regularly engage with our marketing programs. But we found that it was still lacking in the sense of being able to have that same conversations about the importance of AI, the importance of cybersecurity with a more C-suite audience. So one of the key things that we actually took from that prompt was coming up with a brand new event format, which involved us partnering with Woolman's Lawyers, a law firm here in Adelaide, to provide an executive panel lunch where we're going to be covering not only AI and cybersecurity, but also talking about these IT trends within the context of Australia's new privacy laws. And I'm really pleased to say that this event is actually a live example. We are going ahead with this event on the 24th of February. It's less than 2 weeks from now. And in terms of actual results, I'm really thrilled to say that we had about 37 registrations for this event in less than 2 weeks. And actually, breaking news is about half an hour ago, the event has now sold out. It has been filled with C-suite audience members that previously have not engaged very well with Subnet's marketing program. I'm really thrilled about the fact that we've now been able to take our message out to a different segment in our market and provide this opportunity for them to see the value that Subnet can bring. And again, I think it has come back to that loop marketing prompt we ran all those weeks ago about finding a more effective framework to tailor our key message to different audience segments as well. I wanted to include this little screenshot here as well, because again, it's been absolutely wonderful to see the traction we've been able to get in conjunction with Woolman's Lawyers and to be able to have them share this event out to their networks as well. Again, it's wonderful having that partner in place to actually make sure we can actually reach these new segments that we haven't been able to effectively reach previously. I want to talk about the third stage next, the amplify stage. And honestly, this is probably my favorite part of loop marketing, and I'll explain why in a minute. One of the prompts that we ran during the amplify stage was about using video content amplification to improve the reach of our message. And from this prompt here, we've got a great framework for how we can actually get our customers in front of camera to actually share their stories about their engagement with Subnet. And from that one concept, I'm really pleased to say that late last year, Subnet partnered with a video agency here in Adelaide. We created 10 case study films in 4 months. And when I put the slide together, I actually just realized just how extraordinary that output was for our team to actually produce some really amazing material like this for our marketing program. I should also note as well that none of these videos have actually gone live yet. We actually have these scheduled into our social media channels over the coming months. And we've really capitalized on that video resource right now by breaking it down into smaller clips that we're using almost as like trailer videos before we actually release the full video on Subnet's marketing channels as well. So because of that one prompt and because of that output that we were able to generate because of that, we essentially have our social media calendar booked up until August this year with customer case study videos that we're going to be sharing out to our audience as well. Again, it's an amazing output, which again stemmed back from that idea and that framework that was generated from our loop marketing session, looking at how we can leverage video as a more effective medium to really get our message out there about the value that Subnet is delivering. I wanted to talk about the final stage right now, the evolve stage, how we get better at what we're doing in terms of real-time experimentation. And I did make some slight modifications to this slide earlier because I wanted to actually share with you, again, transparently, some of the experiments that we ran as part of our LinkedIn marketing campaign. What you can see there in the prompt is some guiding principles for how we as an organization have been able to implement a bit of a rapid experimentation program. It really focuses on key things like just running a simple test for 1 to 5 days, just testing the waters and then evolving it and updating that experiment based on feedback received. So I wanted to share these ads with you because, again, it was an idea that came from this prompt about how we as an organization can position ourselves as a key IT services provider in a much more closed South Australian market right now, where a lot of the interstate competitors are coming in and taking over those other managed services providers. The first ad you can see there was a bit of a concept we ran about focusing on our account managers, how they've been with the organization for so long and essentially kept the same mobile number over those years as well. Not a bad concept. As you can see there, the overall click-through rate was about 0.87%, which I think was about on par with the average click-through rate for a LinkedIn ad campaign you expect these days. But we thought, well, let's try and go one better. And you can see on the right-hand side, the more evolved campaign that we created, which by my own admission, it was definitely a little bit more cheeky, but it was really emphasizing the fact that what we are seeing in the market right now is that a lot of the clients who have come to us have said, well, I know we're dealing with the South Australian organization. They got bought out by an interstate company. And now we feel like we're not getting the same levels of customer service that we once had before. And we really wanted to capitalize on that sentiment in the market right now by creating a series of ads that really, I think, highlighted that feeling in the market. And I'm really pleased to say there that that 2.5% click-through rate, it was a much better result for us in terms of actual delivery and engagement that we saw compared to the previous experiment we ran. So now we talk about all 4 stages and those 4 examples. How is loop marketing actually working for Subnet? And I wanted to share this with you. This is actually a screenshot from our own marketing dashboard right now, talking about the number of marketing qualified leads that we've been able to generate since we essentially made the switch to loop marketing back in September. So apart from a dip that we saw in the Christmas period last year, Subnet have been able to either meet or exceed its current goal of at least 15 marketing qualified leads per month. So for us, it's off to a really good start. And I know we're only in that very early stage of implementing loop marketing at this point in time, but for us, we're really happy with the results we're seeing so far in terms of trying new ways to reach different markets and using new channels and new mediums to make sure we're actually getting that message out there because of the prompts that we're running through the loop marketing sessions that we've been having. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about some of the implementation considerations that I would recommend you consider when implementing loop marketing in your own organizations as well. The first one is really the importance of making sure that you have all the relevant data you need to run these loop marketing prompts. Certainly there have been times at Subnet where we've looked at a particular prompt that HubSpot have run and said to ourselves, you know what, we don't actually have all that data we need right now. And that's probably more reflective of the fact that as an organization, this marketing program has only been running for just over a year right now. You in your own organizations, you may have much more established marketing programs, and you might be able to know the exact lifetime value of your customer and what channels are performing better than others. And if that's the case, fantastic. By all means, take that critical data, input that into the prompts that you want, and you can also generate that relevant result for you as well. But like I said earlier, you do get out what you put in when it comes to loop marketing. The second honest assessment I want to make is that HubSpot does have some weaknesses when it comes to its own AI engine. I think for the most part, it's a wonderful companion to have in HubSpot, using that Breeze AI assistant to help you generate your social media posts and your blog posts, apply brand identity and so on and so forth. But I found that sometimes you may still need to use other AI platforms in conjunction with HubSpot's AI to make sure you get the output that you need as well. And I think it's just reflective of the AI-driven operations that we're going to be running in the years ahead. So I would still encourage you to be open to different AI platforms and how you can use the best of breed AI platforms in your organization to get the results that you're after as well. And that third point there, I think, is also critical because it talks about the fact that, yes, loop marketing is great. Generative AI is an amazing tool by all means, but there's obviously still that part where we as humans need to actually roll up our sleeves and implement the actions that have been recommended for us. And I do say that very carefully because I certainly know with the rise of agentic AI and some of the other co-work platforms that are being developed right now, we could well see that implementation gap being filled by AI platforms as well. But at the time of this recording, I think it's fair to say that there's still a bit of human involvement in terms of making sure that those ideas are generated as effectively as possible. I wanted to wrap up this conversation, because I'm really keen to hear your questions and your feedback after this as well, because I wanted to speak more about what kind of a world we're operating in right now. And I've included a screenshot here from Dave Fogarty, a very successful Adelaide entrepreneur here, who only a week ago actually shared this post when he talked about some of the AI tools that are now available in the market right now. And essentially what David is saying was that these tools are there and available for us to actually test new business ideas faster than ever before. And it got me thinking about the kind of world that we're entering in right now. In my mind, this is more than just an economy that creates jobs. This is a world where we have an economy right now that can actually generate businesses faster than ever before. So imagine that for 1 second. Imagine if you were operating in a world where new businesses with new products and new services were coming into a market at a faster pace than what we have seen previously. How then would you market your organization? How would you use HubSpot in that new world? And I think loop marketing, is going to be critical for us in terms of adapting to this new world that is emerging right now. I think it is the answer that we need for an AI-driven marketing landscape. And I think it's the answer we need for a fast-paced world, which again is evolving at a rapid clip because of the developments we're seeing in AI. And on that note, I'm happy to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm more than happy to answer your questions that you may have.
Thanks, Ben. I've got a bunch of questions. I haven't received too many from others yet, but hopefully mine will jiggle a few loose. Really appreciate you being so transparent. I like the data. That's really useful. I want to start with a more HubSpot specific question. So your stack is almost entirely professional, but you've got sales enterprise in there. I'm curious on the use case for the enterprise upgrade for sales.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the sales enterprise module has been really helpful for us in the sense of being able to leverage some more features to actually make sure that we're following up more effectively with our leads. We've got a great lead workflow right now, which has been very helpful in terms of automating that journey by automated emails, reminders to our account managers to get in touch with those leads that are being generated. I can certainly vouch for the sales enterprise module on our end, because I think it's been very helpful in terms of making sure that those marketing qualified leads that the marketing program have been generating are followed up effectively, and ideally in a more automated fashion as well.
But you can do most of that on the professional tier. So I'm just the upgrade to enterprise is what I'm just checking.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in terms of specifics, I think there's been a lot of enterprise features we've found quite helpful in terms of mapping the deal journey, providing some greater analytics as well. Again, from my perspective, I think it's been quite helpful for us to actually have those features available just to make sure that we can actually get that alignment there between an effective marketing program and an effective sales delivery program as well.
Yep. Well, Drew's just jumped in, and for those of you who don't know Drew works with Ben at Subnet. And he's mentioned deal journey reporting, forecasting, non-templated goals, and in the next few months, AI transcripts enrichment on calls. So I'm pretty sure they snuck that in the last couple of weeks, Drew, because I got a phone call yesterday. We use Aircall as our phone system. The call got logged. The person who rang gave me their email address on the call, and before that person had their name already identified in the contact card. We'd never spoken to this person before. It had created the company card and had set all that up. So I'm pretty sure that's happening now, but they didn't exactly announce it. And that's what HubSpot likes to do sometimes. I'll just sneak that thing in. Yeah, so in your last renewal, it was a discussion point for if we dropped to Pro, and there used to be features based on the highest tier you have. So yeah, if you have one enterprise seat of whatever it is, then that will open up custom objects and things like that. But I'm always curious for something like one enterprise thing always stands out, and I like to just get to the bottom of that. Now, Ben, we got a couple of questions on your loops. So I'm going to combine David and Alice's questions here. So what were your goals for each of your 4-week loop marketing learning periods? And then what does your weekly loop marketing meeting look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's start with the goals first. I think for us, the goal at the end of each month, I think, was to make sure we had run that full loop as well. And really, by the end of that, we would hope that we had actually implemented all the suggestions that have been made from all 4 of those meetings. So really, it was almost like at the end of each month, we had like a bit of a catch-up talk about, okay, what have we done? What have we actioned? What still needs to be actioned as well? And make sure that we actually had implemented those key goals going forward. And I think in doing so, we also took the time to talk about, okay, we've made it this far, how can we improve further? One of the things I should have mentioned earlier with loop marketing is that it really does facilitate that upward spiral of growth. So the more you do it, the better you get at it as well, in terms of actually getting more data, which you can then input into other loop marketing prompts as well. So that was really one of the key goals there as well. In terms of the actual meetings themselves and how they ran, we would usually spend the first time looking at the prompt library, try to identify a prompt that we thought would be relevant to us. And again, something that where we actually had the key information and key details that we needed, which we could implement easily as well into the actual prompt. And then once we ran that prompt as well, we talked about it as a team, talked about, okay, this is a good recommendation. What can we do from this? And identify those key goals we could actually take from that prompt as well. So I'd say probably half of it was actually spent during the actual generative AI process in terms of creating the inputs for the prompt. And then the second half of that 1-hour session was really talking about the key recommendations from the output and the key actions that we need to take from that output as well.
Cool. You talked a bit about the prompts that you're using from HubSpot. They're quite meaty, I guess I would call them. What have you done specifically to improve those prompts as you've gone on?
Yeah, I think what we've been really able to do is just take that data that we needed to input as well, that was related directly to our organization. To be honest, I don't think we've done much in terms of updating the actual prompts themselves, but it certainly has opened our eyes in terms of how we can actually use AI more effectively in our organization. So even moving away from the prompt library itself, I feel that ever since we started Loop Marketing, we've been able to adopt AI more effectively in our marketing program right now in terms of the creative design of ideas, coming up with some other key messages for different audiences too. So I think beyond the actual prompts themselves, which is always a good starting point, I think doing loop marketing really focuses your efforts on practicing with the latest AI tools and actually implementing them more in your marketing strategy, which I think is really critical, I think, to success of loop marketing.
And on a similar note, you mentioned you still use some what you would call best of breed AI. What are the other kind of AI that you use that complements this approach?
Yeah, absolutely. So primarily, I know I mentioned ChatGPT a lot because that's really our primary AI platform that we use. We're very big fans of Copilot at Subnet, only because we found that it actually has those guardrails in place to make sure that we're actually using AI securely, especially if it comes to organizational data as well that we're inputting as well. I found the Copilot is actually really good in terms of taking a blog draft that has been created by Breeze AI and actually giving it a little bit more structure and a little bit more of that business tone as well. So again, like I said earlier, it has been a process of using multiple AI platforms right now. For example, creating a blog post in Copilot, then inputting it into Breeze AI and HubSpot and saying, hey, can you take this very well structured blog post, but please make sure we actually add Subnet's brand voice to this content as well. So again, by using those key AI platforms in parallel, I think we've been able to generate some really good results overall.
I find that really interesting because HubSpot use OpenAI as their provider. So I find it interesting that your best of breed is what they say they're using.
Yeah, and I'm being perfectly honest here, Ryan. Maybe it's just me when it comes to my writing standards. I found that Breeze AI is great when it comes to generating blog posts, generating first drafts. I just prefer a little bit more structure in my blogs. Actually, I kind of prefer the blogs where you've got your clear headings, dot points, and so on and so forth. That if I was sharing this blog out to an IT manager or a CEO even as well, they could almost have a look at the actual blog page, not necessarily read the entire blog in full, but just get an understanding of what the key messages are, what the key things that they need to know, and then ultimately think to themselves, hey, that's a really good insight provided by Subnet. I better give them a call and talk to them about the current challenges I'm facing.
That's what you want.
Absolutely.
With some of your reporting there, since you brought up some social advertising reporting, are you using the social tools in HubSpot?
Yes, very much so. So we've been really using the social media planner and scheduler in HubSpot. That's been quite instrumental for us in terms of making sure we actually have that channel well and truly covered as we went into 2026 as well. With the LinkedIn ads integration as well of HubSpot, that's been quite valuable for us in terms of actually getting that data from LinkedIn Campaign Manager, I should say, and then integrating it into our very own Subnet marketing dashboard within HubSpot as well. So again, just having that single pane of glass, as I call it, just to show us all the key metrics across all the key marketing platforms, including our social media channels, that's been an absolute godsend for us. Very, very helpful.
So have you started to use, I'm not sure how many comments you get on your organic social, have you started to use the tools where you can actually link the person who commented to their CRM card?
We haven't done that yet, and yes, I think it is still early stages right now in terms of that adoption. Yes, we certainly do have a few comments come in, but I think that would be quite helpful in the sense that sometimes we do see a lot of comments from our partners, which is all well and good, but absolutely, if we were to have like a customer, for example, mention us, then it'll be really good to get that notification as well. One thing we do have right now is we do have the alerts feature in HubSpot. So every time that Subnet's company page is tagged on LinkedIn, for example, at least we get notified about that directly, which is actually proven to be quite helpful. One of our clients actually mentioned us after the opening of their brand new facility just a few weeks ago, and that was very nice to get that acknowledgement online about the input that we had made in terms of making that center come to life. So it's always good to get those alerts directly in the HubSpot platform.
Awesome. All right. Does anybody else have any more questions? So we can chat about this all day, I reckon. We need to wrap
Ben,
up.
if I can just have a quick question I can pose to you. If you were to use third-party information that's related to your client's business, how would you repurpose that information through the Loop marketing process?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good question. I think obviously in that instance there, we'd obviously make sure that we didn't include the company name or had an anonymous name as well. I don't think we've done that yet, but I think that we would obviously make sure we have the guardrails in place. In that instance, we may actually use co-pilots in the internal environment that we have set up here at Subnet right now to make sure we actually got those guardrails in place rather than relying on ChatGPT, which again we do have a paid account of course, but I probably would still want to take that extra step and that extra precaution to make sure that we've really got that one locked down to make sure that no leaks get out, heaven forbid.
Brilliant, thank you.
Well, thank you.
All right. Well, I am out of questions for now, Ben. Drew, did you have any questions? No.
If I have questions, I get to ask about work, right?
It's all right. You've got a captive audience. Look, Ben, really appreciate your time today. Thanks for jumping on. We'll put a recording of this onto the Refuel Creative YouTube channel. I want to say in the next 24 hours. So keep an eye on that. We've got a whole playlist of all the previous hugs as well. Also want to mention that we want to try and get some more users involved this year. I said that at the start. So if you're a user that's got something to share, even if it's a part of a session, not a full session, let me know. or let Alice know. You've got my email address now, so you can just shoot me an email. And we are also looking at running a couple more in-person hugs this year. So we'll look to bring a few more folks in Adelaide together face-to-face, say good day, and go through things and swap notes. So keep an eye out for that. But in the meantime, thanks very much, Ben. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Alice, for everything you've done to get today organised. And look forward to seeing you at the next one.